The following podcast contains adult language and themes, so don't say we didn't fucking warn you.
You're listening to Sarah Talk. It's political.
You could run a fucking pet rock against Donald Trump, and I would vote for the pet rock.
Yeah.
That's where we're at right
Yeah.
Critical.
One of the things that drives me nuts as an atheist is that my polling location is at a church. And I don't necessarily have a problem. I'm not going to burst into flames walking into a church.
After being on this show and having heard your viewpoints on some things, my advice to you is don't test this. I won't burst into flames.
And positively LGBT positive.
In many states, you can still be evicted from housing simply for being gay or transgender. Stand and fight with us.
Oh, and occasionally completely absurd.
Oh, they're shutting us down. They're deplatforming us. I do a pretty good Alex Jones voice. Return the Frogs gay!
Okay, you're sleeping in a child's room tonight because there's no way you're sleeping next to me. That is disgusting. I'm going to have nightmares.
And now, from Orlando, Florida, your host, Sarah Austin.
Hey everybody, welcome to Sarah Talk. I'm your host, Sarah Austin. Surprise, it's another New Music Monday. This week we're featuring 23-year-old Dutch-Swiss singer Chrissy Lee, whose music is a blend of pop, punk, rock, and trance with a big dose of attitude and humor. Chrissy Lee, welcome to Sarah Talk. Thanks for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. So before we get into your music, as creative people, our art is often influenced by our lived experiences. And I read some of the writing that you've done on your website, and you talked a lot about being bullied and dealing with depression and anxiety. Why don't you talk a little bit about what that was like for you?
Well, for me, almost half of the year, I'm 23 now. When I was a kid, I have been bullied all my school time, how you call that? Sorry for my English, guys. I've been bullied since I'm 6 years old, actually.
Wow.
When I went to school in Holland. I lived in Holland until I was 10 years old. And then we moved to Switzerland. And I thought, this is so great. It's going to be a new start and everything. But, well, they also didn't like me somehow. I guess I was just different. And for kids, somehow, when you're different, it's not really good for the others.
Yeah.
So everybody treated me really bad. I got into a depression when I was only 11 years old.
Wow.
They had a hate club against me.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, they had a club where everybody could sign. And almost the whole school signed there. And I didn't do anything wrong. I just, of course, in the beginning when I went to Switzerland, I couldn't really speak the language, so I had to learn that. And I was always the glitter pink unicorn girl. I always was like that.
Yeah.
And that's something for them, it was totally new.
Wow, really?
Yeah, that wasn't really easy.
Yeah, that pink glitter unicorn is normal around here. My wife, Becca, she has started collecting unicorns, and I have a limit.
Oh.
I have a limit on that. I won't let her over collect. Because my first wife collected dolphins, and when I say collected, I mean we had shelves full of dolphin knickknacks and shit, just dolphin shit everywhere. And so I'm a little I'm a little triggered by
Yes.
knickknack collections. But okay, so gosh, a couple of things. One thing I think right away is the idea of someone being different, right? I'm sure you've seen the international news lately, but we have been that's something that we're dealing with very deeply right now in the U.S., where half, give or take, half the country is doing this tribalism stuff where they're saying that the Mexicans are coming, and they're bad people and they're criminals and so we otherize people who are different than us. And that, there's a evolutionary biological component to that goes back to tribal days. We call it tribalism for a reason. But I don't see that amongst kids so much. So that
What's wrong with the Mexicans?
nothing, absolutely nothing. That's
It's
the
just
thing
so
that's
weird
crazy.
when people. It's so weird when people say, for example, Mexicans are bad people, or gay people are bad people, black people are bad people, whatever. I mean, come on.
Right.
I'm a white girl. Maybe people say white girls are bad people. I don't know, but I'm not a bad person.
Yeah.
This is so stupid. I don't know.
Yep.
That makes me laugh.
Yeah, and we talk a lot on the show about, I want objective evidence for things. I want to know true things, and I want to have a good reason to believe the things that I believe. And when you look at some of the statistics, I don't want to go too far down this rabbit hole, but the claim that these people are violent, citizens of the United States are more likely to commit violent crimes than are immigrants from Mexico, legal or otherwise. Like, that is just statistically true. And yet half this country sticks their head in the sand and goes, la, 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 that doesn't fit my narrative. I want them to be bad people, so I'm going to believe they're bad people. It's crazy.
Yeah, I think that's really hard when you're somebody from Mexico or whatever, and you go to the United States, and I don't know, maybe you have kids, whatever, you have a good life, you're happy with your life, you haven't done anything wrong, and people are just judging you for being different.
Yeah.
That's so hard.
Yeah. That's I think we need more humanism, and humanism is the idea that, these people may be coming here to find a better life, and we have sold the world on this idea that America is, this welcoming place where you can, follow your dreams, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we don't do that in practice so much anymore, and that's frustrating.
Yeah, that's really not nice.
Yeah,
it's sad to hear.
Yeah, so it surprises me, I guess, a little bit that it was so much the kids. I think, like, when we talk about bullying and depression and that sort of thing, people in the U.S. probably feel that is a very distinctly U.S. issue. And I would say that because most people don't get out of this country and travel the world and see other cultures and other places, which is a shame. But we have an older generation that's having trouble relating to the younger generation, especially when it comes to mental health. Right? So, like, when my parents were kids, like, this is the generation that says, well, kids got bullied back in our day, and we just sucked it up and dealt with it. Or they'll say things like, we turned out fine. But have you seen a therapist lately? Like, did you really turn out fine? But the younger people today are not accepting that suck it up bullshit, and they're demanding better ways to deal with mental health issues. And so then you have the adults in charge who aren't equipped and don't often know what to do about it. When you were going through what you were going through, how did the adults in your life handle that bullying and depression?
Well, for me, I was really young when the bullying started, and I didn't want to tell my parents because I thought, hey, I don't want to disappoint them, So the first years, I didn't tell them anything. And then I told my father, and he was really pissed. And he went to the guy's house who bullied me. I was like 8 years old. I don't know. But that didn't really help. So I just stopped talking with them. And I always thought that I was like 8 years old, but in my mind, I was way older.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking I didn't really talk with anybody because I know that just didn't work. I mean, when I talk with my parents, nothing's going to change about people bullying me. So I just didn't tell them. But later when I got my depression, like I was 11 years old, and I started to get some breathing problems, but that was all in my head, but I couldn't breathe.
Wow.
I was at school and I fell down. I was crying every day. I couldn't breathe. I didn't know why. And my parents said, yeah, just calm down. It's just in your head. Relax. But now, years later, they see, wow, it wasn't just something small in my head. I had a real problem. But people always think, well, it's in your head, so don't take it serious because it's not there. But I think it is there when it's in your head.
Yeah, definitely. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I was reading up on your journey a little bit. It was really music that kind of gave you an outlet and an escape from that anxiety and depression, right?
Definitely. When I came home from school, that was when I was 8, 9 years old. I got Music Maker from my dad. That's a program where you can make easy music for the computer. And every day when I came home from school, instead of crying, whatever, I just went in my room, went to the computer and wrote songs. I was making music. And that's something I always did. I did that until I was 16. And then I left my parents' house. And I started really singing in the world, to the world.
Right. But
music really saved me.
You'd been singing and performing for a long time, though, right?
That's right. I had my first concert when I was 6 years old.
Wow.
Yeah, that's really cute, actually.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It was a Christmas concert.
Okay.
And I was really proud. But then there were some months when I didn't really sing in front of people. And then when the depression, the bullying was really bad, I stopped. Because I thought, hey, they don't want to listen to me anyway.
Yeah.
So why am I doing this? But, well, I went to the mental hospital. I was there a few times. And after that, I realized, hey, if I want to sing and if I have a message that's important for me, why don't you just try it? And, well, I tried it again and again and again. And suddenly people started listening. And they were interested in what I'm talking, what I'm singing, what I'm doing. And that's very special for me.
Yeah.
Because I don't just want to sing. I have a message that I want people to listen to.
I connected so much with that music as an outlet. So when I was I don't know, I was probably in the 8th or 9th grade. I was diagnosed with depression. I was medicated. I was pulled out of school and my parents homeschooled me for a year. And this was all before I even really even started dealing with gender dysphoria. But I would spend my lunch period at school before they took me out of school. I would spend my lunch period in the music room, tinkering around on a piano or a guitar instead of eating with my peers. And I never really had suicidal thoughts or self-harm. And I wonder sometimes if I hadn't had that creative outlet, that could have been a whole lot different.
Probably. I think so, because music has this magical thing. It's not just music, but art. I think art gives you something back.
Yeah.
Art gives you, I don't know how to explain, but it's magical.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know that if I wouldn't have the music, I have no idea where I would have been right now.
Right. And that's so important. And here in the States, we always have trouble getting our government to fund arts programs in school. When here we go again, the overwhelming evidence shows that there's so much benefit to having those programs. All right, let's do this. I want to play a track, and then we can come back and talk a little bit more about the music and the message. Sound good?
Perfect.
All right. So let's take a listen to the debut single. This is Fueled by the Rush.
Shift to sound.
Drove the
Rockers.
That's Fueled by the Rush. We're talking today with Chrissy Lee. I absolutely love this. This is great. You're working with a multi-platinum certified Hollywood producer, right? How did all of those pieces come into place?
Well, first of all, thank you that you like the song. I'm really happy when
great.
people tell me that they love my music.
Yeah.
Well, I work with Geoslam, and the story is kind of funny because I was in the Starbucks in Zurich, actually, in Switzerland, in the country where I live. And there I met Geoslam. It's not just that I saw, hey, Geoslam. I was there with a friend, and he said, hey, there's Geoslam. And I was like, yeah, of course, that's not Geoslam. I mean, why would Geoslam be in Zurich in Starbucks, you know?
Right.
Well, he said, that's Geoslam again. And I Googled and I said, okay, well, you're right. That's Geoslam. So I just walked to him and said, hey, I'm Chrissy. I'm making music, blah, blah, blah. We were talking. And, you know, the chemistry was there. And Geo said, hey, you're a cool person. You have something to say. Let's talk later when I'm back home. And actually, I was so stupid to forget to give him my email address or something else, because when I'm talking, I'm just talking, and I mean the thing that I'm doing, and I forget everything else. So that's what happened. But then later, in the end, we could fix everything. I could contact him. Well, first not him, first somebody who worked with him, and then he contacted Jill, and in the end, we finally met each other. We met in Sweden. That's where his wife lives, so that's why he was there.
Mm-hmm.
And then we were just recording something, and then he said, I'm going to sign you.
Wow.
And I was like, what? But yeah, he did.
That's so cool. Like, what are the odds, right?
It is
What a
really awesome.
coincidence.
I was just at the right time, the right place.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Yes.
Okay, so your debut single is out. We just listened to that. What can we expect next? What are you working on now?
Well, actually, I'm working on a duet now with a friend of mine. Her name's Sherry. I went to school with Sherry, and she's not just a friend because she also really helped me when I had a really bad time. And that's why I asked Yuslam, hey, can I do a song with her? Because she's a good friend and I have a great idea for a song. So that's what we're working on now. In 9 days, we have the release party for that song. So in 9 days, the 19th of January will be the first time where you can listen to the song on YouTube.
Cool. Awesome.
It's really cool. It's a song with a story. That's what I can say.
Yeah. And you mentioned another thing in our conversation that we were having, getting this all set up. You're working on the official Pride Song 2019. What's that all about?
Yes, that's so awesome. Well, Gio and I were talking and we just had this idea because, you know, I want to change something in this world. Because the thing that you said before, people always think that different is bad or different is just not good. That's what most people think.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I have a girlfriend, so I'm lesbian.
Uh-huh.
And I love Pride. So then we had this idea, why don't we just go to the Pride, make a song that's for the Pride, of course, for the LGBT community, but not only for them, for straight people as well, for everybody. And that's what we're working on.
That's great. Sort of like an anthem for equality, huh?
Yeah, we have a really great lyrics. I'm really proud of it. We're still working on it. But I think I can open some eyes with that song.
Yeah. So let's talk about the message then. And you can talk about the song we just listened to and the stuff that you're working on both. What is that message that when people hear your music or they learn about your journey, what is it you want people to take away?
Well, I've been bullied for so long. Now, turns out I'm lesbian. I mean, didn't turn out, of course. I knew that. but I'm lesbian, and people are shocked. Before, they were bullying me because I'm different, and now there are many people who like, oh my God, but you can't be lesbian. That's not good. Or that's a sickness. You're going to be better. I pray for you.
Oh my God.
Okay, I believe in God, but I don't believe that this is a sickness. I believe we're all beautiful just the way we are. And that's what I want to tell people with my music. For example, Fueled by the Rush. That's a song I wrote so I could finally left all the the haters, the ones who bullied me, I could finally left them behind. And I think that's something that you hear when you listen to the song. There's a power, a message in it. And I really hope you can feel that as well when you're listening to the song.
Absolutely. And I think you're right. The world needs more of that, right?
I think there's so many music just to be music. But just to be music sounds weird. But I really have a message.
Yeah.
And I know that people want to listen to my music, and that's why I want to have a special message in there.
I love it. We talk about just traditional pop radio hits that often don't really have an underlying message, or we make fun of country music a lot because it's all about, losing your truck and your dog and your woman and your beer, right? And and it's kind of the same it's a trope, but I really do love music that I can connect with what the lyrics are saying and what the message is. I think those affect us more than it's got a good beat and you can dance to it,
I think so too, definitely. I think, of course, it has to have a good beat, but when there's a message, even if you don't really think about it, somehow you feel it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So where can we send our listeners to find your music and learn more about you or get in touch?
Well, of course, everybody can go to my website. That's chrissylee.xyz. Do I say it right? XYZ? That's how you say it in English, right?
chrissylee.xyz.
Yeah, almost. Okay. Sorry, guys.
I knew what you meant. That's good.
I'm still learning.
All right. And from there, then you can get to Instagram and YouTube and Facebook and all of those things, right?
Yes, I have all my social medias on that website. And also, when people text me, I often get these messages when people are struggling with their coming out or when they just have some other questions. I really try to read everything, and I love to help them.
That's great. Yeah, we get some of those too. And that's really, that's why we kind of started the show, was to talk about my transition journey and be there for others in the community. So I think that's
so nice. I think it's so really great. I love that.
I think it's cool that you take the time to, because we all have busy lives, and it's just as easy to be like, look, I don't have the time for this. But I love that you're taking the time to write back and try to connect with people individually. That's awesome.
No, for me, it's really special. I also love when somebody's just saying, hey, I love your music.
Yeah.
That when somebody's asking me a question, when I can really help, that means so much to me.
Well, let me give you the last word. Is there anything that you want to get out into the world here to all 10 of our listeners before I let you go? Is there anything we didn't cover?
I think we did say everything. Guys, just be happy. Don't think too much and be who you are. That's my message.
Excellent. Well, I appreciate you reaching out to us and taking the time to share a little bit of your life and your music with us. And I'm excited to hear more. I'm ready for the next one.
That's perfect. It's almost there.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Before we go today, I want to thank all of our wonderful patrons. Of course, if you'd like to join our great patrons and get early access to episodes, patron-only content, the video vault, and more, head to patreon.com/SarahTalk. And if you want to give us some love, but you can't give financially right now, that's fine too. We would love a 5-star glowing review on Apple or Google Podcasts or wherever it is that you listen to the show. Many thanks again to Chrissy Lee. Her debut single, Fueled by the Rush, is for all the people who have been judged simply because of who they are or how they love. She's an inspiration and such a pleasure to chat with. Visit chrissylee.xyz to learn more, and as always, you'll find her links in the show notes of this episode. Thank you all for listening. We'll see you Saturday night at our normal time, 8 p.m. Eastern, for the Facebook Live. You've been listening to SarahTalk.
SarahTalk is made possible by listener support. Visit patreon.com/SarahTalk to become a patron and help keep this program going. Contact Sarah and Company by email at producer@sarahtalk.com or call 224-40-SARAH. That's 224-407-2724. And follow us on social media, facebook.com/SarahTalk Radio and on Twitter at SarahTalk Radio. The opinions and information provided on this show are intended for entertainment purposes only. All opinions are solely that of the hosts and their guests. We make no representations as to accuracy, completeness, timeliness, or validity of any information and will not be liable for any errors or damages. SarahTalk is a production of Sarah Austin Media.